So my Taan Sau, the next move in this first third, we have already crossed our hands. We've already set here. We done punched out. You know that I like to punch short. For other reasons, you can decide to punch out, and that's very cool. The next technique is usually Taan Sau, but remember what I said in the last video on the Yeji Chun Tour and why I may punch short and go here. It's because I'm protecting my ribs, right? So there's some teachers that do this and right here. I get it. They're one of the biggest reasons where it was the idea of dealing with foreigners or dealing with people bigger than them. A lot of the foreigners, the Europeans, whatnot, they had longer limbs. There was some Manchurians compared to Han Chinese have longer limbs, Mongolians, whatever. If I come in contact with anybody with longer limbs, period, then the idea of doing a long Taan Sau, right, is okay. As long as you know its placement. However, like I said before, you want to keep the arm really truly like here, because one, you're protecting your ribs. Two, you're going to come to find out that when you do the wooden dummy, when you do the rest of Siu Nim Tao form, you're going to have short bridge Taan Sau. So why even go through the motions of a long bridge when later on you're just going to cut it short? I feel the same way about doing horse stance with the Look Dim Bung Guan. Why do this long Shaolin style horse stance when you know ultimately Wing Chun is Wing Chun? Wing Chun made the stance short for a reason. Do a short stance with the Look Dim Bung Guan. You'll see that in the future as well. I will not hide it from you. It's going to be very interesting. So, Look Dim Bung Guan being a pole if anybody wants to know. So when I do either this punch or this punch, I'm going to open my hand like that. It's already setting you up for what's going to be in the end of the form later, right? So here, I'm going to point to myself, come around to Wu Sao, close the hand, and set. You know, I like to do the circle motion, twofold energy. So Taan Sau means to spread. Unfortunately, I don't have someone in front of me to show you spread or disperse, so I just want you to follow along as much as you can. You can have a partner with you. Have a partner put a fist right dead in front of you, straight to your chest, and you'll see what I mean. If I was to use this and I make contact with the opponent's hand right here at the wrist, and I just move it in just a little bit, you'll see that their punch is going past my arm like this and going outward towards the shoulder and out. That's the spread, okay? Think of it like spreading jelly on bread. You're not gonna go past the edge of the bread, or you're going to be touching the table or touching the plate, making a mess, right? So the idea here is to use this technique, Taan Sau, and the technique spreads outside of the arm. Why? Because it may turn their technique a little bit, maybe even turn their body just a little bit, and then from there, you'll be able to Tan Da. Tan Da. Now, that's part number one. Because roughly, even I don't like that. If I'm just right here, the technique spreads out and I hit. Only if they're over more over here, their head and body and stuff, yeah, that's cool. But firstly, please understand, one, do it to the outside of the arms. Don't do Taan Sau to the inside. If it happens to happen because you don't want to get hit, because maybe they do a hook punch or something like that, maybe they're odd set and they punch, okay, but make sure you Tan Da. Make sure you hit both at the same time. But roughly, we want Taan Sau to the outside of the arm. We want Pak Sau outside of the arm. All these techniques to the outside of the arm as much as humanly possible, knowing that there's going to be human error. knowing that every technique just don't set that way. Maybe the situation doesn't give us that. Okay? So we do understand, all the teachers and masters, we understand that. So we do have our techniques for the inside the arms and what to do with it. So bear that, but try to keep outside. Now that I said that, remember, this is going to be a small space just to hit. So what do I want to do? I can take this technique, Taan Sau, and spread it just a tiny bit. Okay? So you have your shoulder and you have your center line with this left hand. I can have it right here. That's center line. I can have it a little bit more here. This is more clavicle. That's the midpoint. If I have it to here, as long as my elbow's closer to me, this is shoulder. Okay? So I can have it right here and spread the technique out so I can have an idea of hitting completely on the center line and using more of my strength here. Does that make sense? If I have my center line here with a Taan Sau and I try to do this, this punch ain't gonna have no energy. But if I move it over just a bunch, the more I can hit harder. Right? So you want to spread the technique. Last thing I'm going to say about Taan Sau, because, well, last two things, excuse me, is dispersing is actually the fact that when it comes to here and it goes to the shoulder because it turns somebody more, or two, I can either be on center line or to the shoulder, wherever that degree of range is, and then turn my body and punch. You'll learn that later with the, there's going to be a video on HHSMA, and I'll show you how to shift, and that's going to totally make more sense. So here, I can do right here, and I'm actually dispersing. I'm actually making a whole body go out as if it's water coming to a rock canyon and it splits into two different rivers. One river becoming two. So I can have this, or I can have this, or I Taan Sau and it just happens to be enough that I can punch true.